Okay, here we go. Module 2, Section 2. Turn the page. Here we go. Section 2, Oxy-fuel cutting consumables, equipment setup and teardown. Now, I'm going to put a couple of cool videos in here, not just mine, but some good ones that I found on YouTube that are going to add to your education or learning experience on this subject, so that when you get into the shop and we're doing this work, or you're getting into the testing, it's going to help you have a little bit more depth of knowledge. I think that when you have more than one source, there's some things I might say that might not come in loud and clear, that somebody else says it, and it's like it registers. So I believe in having a couple of different sources of information, the same information, so that you can have a nice depth of your knowledge, of your learning, because this is real important. The oxygen settling, oxy-fuel cutting process is one of the most dangerous things that we do, and it's one of the most common things that we're going to do as welders. Welders spend a lot of time fitting and about 15% of their time actually welding. If you know how to do a good cut and a fit up, your welding is easy and fun. If you don't, it's trouble, and you're always having to undo and redo, and it's just, this makes your life really nice. So you want to be able to have a good handle on your cutting, your metal prep, your fitting. So we're going to focus on that a little bit right now. When you complete this session, you should be able to identify and describe oxy-fuel cutting equipment and consumables, identify and describe other miscellaneous oxy-fuel cutting accessories, and identify and describe specialized cutting equipment. We're going to explain how to set up, light, and shut down oxy-fuel equipment. We're going to explain how to properly prepare a torch setup for the operation. We're going to explain how to leak test, explain how to light it and adjust it to the proper flame, and we're going to explain how to properly shut it down. These are all things that you're going to have to do when you come into the shop this week on Thursday and Friday. So the section 1 that we went over and this are going to be, you're going to have to do this week on Thursday or Friday. So I need for you guys to really get kind of tuned in a little bit, and that's why I'm plugging in the Ed puzzle. So we're going to talk about these performance tests. This is what we're going to do, and setting it up, lighting it, shutting it down, disassembling, changing the gas cylinders. So tip cleaners, drill kits, and friction lighters. I never heard it called a friction lighter before I got into this stuff. I always called it a striker. Somewhere down here, in some of the information, you'll see it called a striker. Here it is down here, striker. We've got striker. We've got tip cleaners here in the shop. We don't have any tip drill kits. I'd like to get some, just because I've never used them, and they look like they might be something that would be a nice little enhancement. I will tell you though, tip cleaners and tip drill kits, all that stuff's really fragile. It's tiny, tiny little pieces of very hard metal, and tips are typically made out of soft metal, so they file. But if you break one off in there, it kind of ruins the tip. This is cylinder carts. We've talked about this before. We have both kinds in the shop. The primary difference between these two is this big wall that runs between them, separating them. And that wall is hooked to this thing in that little hole in the top is called an eye. Just like your eye, E-Y-E, eye. Eyes are what you hook a crane into if you want to lift this up to the second story or the 100th story. If you had a crane however high it wants to lift it, you can legally and safely move cutting equipment that's strapped into a rig like this by hooking into that eye. If you try to hook onto that handle or do it any kind of way with this rig, that's a safety violation. That'll get somebody hurt or fired or in trouble or something. This is the only approved and safe way to lift it. Both of them are approved and safe for storing while you use your equipment. But take the top off, put your gauges on, and get after it. Start cutting. This is for ground floor only. This can be used on multiple stories. Cylinder carts are a useful, safe way to keep cylinders safe, but still transportable. Soapstone, most common way of writing on metal, and silver graphite markers are effective ways to mark metal accurately. Computer controlled gantry cutting machine, we call them CNC plasma torches. You'll notice this is a really nice one by Koike Aronson. Very good company, very fine company, make a lot of nice expensive equipment. Love to have this rig in our shop. It's got a plasma and a oxy-fuel cutting. Got two separate torches. This is where you operate it. You basically load something in there, and it cuts it out beautiful and perfect. That's how people cut out those swanky designs with names and graphics and everything on plates and fire pits, barbecues, whatever, is using equipment like this. We're going to get one day. I keep pushing it, but it's not. We haven't got it yet. This is a track torch. We got one of these in the shop. Ours is yellow. That's a Ed puzzle question at some point. What color is our track torch? It's yellow. This one is red. Ours is real similar to this. Got a track right here. It's held down by magnets. Got a machine that travels on the track, carries a torch, and it's for cutting straight lines. We're going to actually use that probably for your second week performance review, maybe your first week. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But it also makes nice bevel cuts. Good for cutting groove plates if you're going to be doing some G weld with backing or without backing. This is a really nice tool to have in the shop. Motor driven equipment can also include these types of round pipe cutters. The track runs around a circle. It's kind of a flexible track. And exothermic oxygen lance. You need to remember this. This is a test question. It asks you about something that's filled with magnesium. It's shaped like a pipe. This is a picture of a piece of it. I've also got a video attached, or a link to a video on one of the Ed puzzles where you can actually click it and you can see some really serious exothermic oxygen lancers at work. Here we got regulators. You don't want to work with a regulator, show signs of wear and damage. Make sure regulators and fittings are clean, otherwise you have leaks. Use the right tool for the right job is a craft worker's motto. I've heard that ever since I was a kid. Use the right tool for the right job. Always tighten the regulator using a torch wrench. I see people using all kinds of different wrenches around here. Crescent wrenches, we need to get a couple of torch wrenches, put them in the little basket on each cart, and only use the right wrench for the right job. Otherwise, you round that metal is soft. It's gold. It's brass. It's soft metal, and you don't want to round it off because then it's ruined. Attaching regulators, you want to crack the cylinder slowly, turn it till your pressure comes up. You don't want to just slam 2,000 pounds of pure oxygen into these things. It won't blow it up, but it'll be just hard on your regulator. Inside here, some springs and some diaphragms and other things that wear out over time. So you want to be gentle with them so you don't tear up your expensive rig. Flashback arresters, these things must be used with each hose. They are installed on the fuel, gas, and oxygen connectors on the torch. A lot of them have built-ins. This torch right here has got some built-in ones. These are in line. The ones we have are in line. We've got brand new torches. Some of our torches may actually have some built-in ones. Installing your cutting tips. There's your torch wrench again. See all the different ways you can use it. It keeps everything from getting stripped. And you're going to talk about torch valves, regulating adjustments. There's two similar colored bottles. Which one has the oxygen? Which one has acetylene? You're going to learn how to read the labels. Don't just depend on the colors. Check the documentation from the torch manufacturer for cutting tip installation. At least one flashback arrestor has to be installed. This keeps a spark from traveling back down your hose. Attaching your regulators, we're going to talk about that. You know what? I think I'm going the wrong direction. Yeah. Okay, leak testing. You spray it down with soapy water. You can shut it off, see if it holds pressure. There's several different ways of doing it. We're going to cover that. Full leak testing of a torch. Leaks are most likely found at the point shown. That's, wherever you have something that turns, whether it's a fitting or a valve, there's got to be an O-ring and a seal. Something's got to, hold that pressure in, and it wears out. Oxy flame types. We're going to learn about these. We got carburizing flames, neutral flames, oxidizing flames. We're going to cover that in detail. Acetylene and LP. LP stands for liquid propane. Gas flames, and here's some differences in those and the properties of them. We'll cover some of that in detail in section 3. Backfires and flashbacks. Improper operating pressures, loose torch tips. We're going to cover all that, and we'll actually, if we're going to be using a torch so much that you'll actually see some of these backfires and flashbacks. Stuff's going to get splattered, hitting dross will be getting all over the tips. We'll be cleaning tips. we'll be tightening and loosening, and you'll get the full experience. Shutting it down correctly, close the cylinder valves first, leave the regulators and torch valves open at all times, allows the pressure to bleed from the hoses. We're going to go through how to install a cylinder, and that's going to wrap it up for section 2. And that's all we're going to do this week. Next week, we're going to have the some of this video, or this session was on part of 3, and we're going to read section 4. So it'll be 3 and 4 next week is what we're going to use in order to finish up this module. We're going to have module 1 and 2 at a performance review this week, and then we're going to have module 3 and 4 in a performance review and a final certification exam next week. All right, that's it.